Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I made a short video about two questions that is arise during the game, during my game. It's quite a lot that I play Valor Fortitude now. About 2 years between the first edition, the playtest for the second edition and the second edition itself. And during all my game I found I cannot say problem, maybe a small issue. One is with cavalry and one is with artillery. For the last one I've recently wrote to Jervis Johnson to talking about it, and I'm waiting for his reply, but today I will share with you my impression. For cavalry, it's not exactly a problem of the game. The mechanic for the game works quite well. I see two things that sound me a little bit wrong. One is the use of light cavalry in game, and the other one is how to counter an heavy cavalry list, because cavalry, especially in high number, is quite overpowered in this game. In other game, cavalry is quite the exactly contrary, so it's not a problem at all. Let me say, in Black Powder, for example, a cavalry which charge an infantry almost always crashes nose into a square that the cavalry is allowed to take when charged by infantry is allowed to take when charged by cavalry, light or heavy that it is. And essentially in that game cavalry will force the square to stay put in the spot and slow down or stop completely the movement of the infantry. Here is quite opposite. The rules state that you have to form the square in your own turn in suppose reply to a movement of cavalry, and that's work, especially because square can still move 3 inches and still shoot, but it slowed down terribly the game, terribly, because if you have only infantry and you plan to move, or you have to move according to the scenario, you will block on the spot. That is not so inaccurate, but in reality cavalry was used in two different ways, and this is lead me exactly to the other issue that I found. The use of heavy cavalry or the light cavalry. Light cavalry is used to explore the territory before the real battle, is used to counter the opposing light cavalry, chase down skirmishers, and during the pursuit when one of the two army broke and fled the field. Where the heavy cavalry is used as the hammer to blow down, to crash down the defense when the weak spot is found into the enemy line, and is launched in mass on that spot to crush the enemy line and broke the position. And while in this game, heavy cavalry are quite good in this role. Light cavalry, it isn't usable in their proper role, because practically there is no exploration. You exactly know where your opponent is, and chasing down their skirmisher is a possibility which left your cavalry quite in the open, like a sitting duck in front of the firepower of the enemy. So the real use that you can find to the light cavalry is to counter the enemy light cavalry. to put some casualty into a weakened heavy cavalry. I always play my cavalry in this rule, and sometimes they will charge an infantry in line. I never charge a square if not forced by the desperation to achieve the mission. And even heavy cavalry, it's quite impossible to break a square without an adequate preparation with fire and artillery. So honestly, I have not found a solution for this issue, and I understand that a compromise was needed in this game, and so it's okay. What I may suggest is not to go too much heavy cavalry unless your opponent has the same, because it could be frustrating for your opponent to face too much cavalry if he has not appropriate countermeasure. But what I'm using is an home rule. I've just told about it in the video about my home rule, which allow an emergency square. I little change this emergency square rule because I don't want that this change too much the balance of the game, and my experience in my test and in the video, it works quite well. I do not propose this to Jarvis Johnson to change it, because in the end it's a personal feeling much more than a real need of the game. Anyway, when a cavalry will charge a line, infantry in line, from more than 12 inches in its front rank, and if the line is not shaken, it is allowed to take a test on a 3+ to form an emergency square. And if they pass, they form the square, and cavalry now have to decide to stop the charge or force the charge in, get a +2 to determine the result of the charge, as if the square was shaken and the cavalry charge normally for the rules. It worked quite good. It grants some kind of protection to infantry in line, and at the same time is not too punitive for the cavalry, because it's especially heavy cavalry have a good chance to charge into the square without being simply repelled, and but at the same time is not a certainty that the square will repel the cavalry. So all in all, this is quite balanced. Recently I read a post on Facebook page of Jarvis Johnson, who said that when they made in their club infantry brigade, they put one unit of cavalry, light cavalry, as explorer, as I said, for this brigade. I don't want to go to against their experience. In my personal experience, this could be too much against an infantry without cavalry. But it's not a bad idea. It's often happen. So what I found a good compromise, again, it's a matter of compromise, is to use a cavalry detachment to be attached to infantry brigade as explorer, but their real role is the same of the light infantry or the infantry detachment. Move forward and absorb the fire from enemy rifle during the march of the cavalry, or find, I may not say a weak spot, because easily we can see weak spot in the enemy deployment. Maybe they can chase some infantry detachment or shaken, artillery isolated, and that is all what they can do. But they can help during the charge to force a withdrawal, an auto-withdrawal of a battalion, because they still cavalry. But they are weak enough to be easily countercharged from the enemy if he wants. What I'm trying to do in future, especially when I move outside Peninsula and into the continent against the Austrian, is to run two separate brigades of cavalry, one light and one heavy. A dragoon are used as medium cavalry, but I have not enough dragoon, and I do not plan to buy and especially paint more dragoon, so they will move into the light brigade, and I take the cuirassier or the carbineer as a heavy cavalry and differ the role. They will go hunting down, protecting the flank, protecting against the other cavalry, and they will be used as the hammer to crush the enemy. I will try to run this aspect both for the French and for the Austrian, because I have enough light and heavy cavalry to do this. And this is the first minor issue that I spot out in these 2 years of the game. And now moving into the much serious one that I'm eager to test more intensely in my next games, the artillery. I say the artillery. This is a small issue, okay? The game, as I said, work even if in its standard rule. But in reality, during Napoleonic War, artillery was the part of the army that made the major damage, especially in the first stage of the battle, when the army are still far away one each other, and artillery can cause havoc between the enemy line 1 kilometer away, where muskets are effective 100 meters away. But in this game it's quite hard to emulate this, because you have to shoot to the closest enemy, and if this is not a real problem in the first couple of rounds of the game, where the army are far away one each other, you're still forced to shoot at the closest one. And just this guy here, move it wisely in front of the army, force your artillery to waste one round of shoot against them, when probably no general will waste the firepower of a battery of gun against a company, maybe less cavalryman or skirmisher, which are hard target for a cannon before the use of grenade especially. So I feel that artillery need to be allowed to take the target even if they are not the closest one. In my opinion, it's more realistic, it's more fair. One gun, which emulate probably about a 6 gun in reality, shoot one die, two dice if he is within 12 inches, and at the same cost of a line infantry battalion, they will put less damage when they are close, and can theoretically put some damage when they are farther than 12 inches away. But it doesn't, in my opinion, justify the price for a single cannon, but it's not even the point cost of a gun, because it's okay. What I feel is that the role of the artillery is really diminished in this game, because they cannot fire over the head of their partner battalion, because even if they are on a hilltop, the canister is good, but it's not devastating like a canister really is. And especially the rule when the thing comes close and the fight is a matter of inches between the batteries and the enemy, they are forced to shoot at the closest one, and this is not happen. Artillery will shoot to the most dangerous, not the closest, not at least the closest, until they are a huge cavalry charge that threat them to be overrun. But in this case, the artillery, the crew of the gun will left the guns and find safe into the square. So what I told to Jervis, and I wanted to try out, is to allow artillery to take their target, even if they are not the closest one. And I will try this as a home rule, hoping that Jervis and the other member of the staff will take in account this fact, and maybe will change this in the future. To be fair, to do not run the artillery too much power, I put some malus on them. If they are shooting to a target that is not the closest one, they get -1 to it. And if this target is 18 inches, more than 18 inches far from them, they get another -1 to it. But they still are allowed to shoot at them. And this came into account at medium and close distance, maybe more than the long distance away. And for the support, when they take not the closest target, they are not allowed to get fire support unless they are in battery. Battery, on the contrary, is a great rule, especially for the France and for the French and for the Austrian, which use them in the late time of the war, and Russian too. So if they are in battery, they can lend support to target a far away enemy unit. Otherwise, they cannot get this support. And this, in my opinion, is a quite balanced change to the rule, because they make artillery more effective, but not overpowered, because they usually hit on a 6 or on a 5+. And if they are heavy artillery, on a 4 and on a 5+. So 30 point for an heavy artillery, which throw a 50-50 dice when they are so far away one each other. It's not a game-changing rule, but looks better. And the last consideration is about battery and how to take it. And I suggest, especially when you play late time of the Napoleonic War, and for the French, to have a battery as a brigade of artillery with their commander. Looks more historical than put your gun both in the various brigade together when you deploy, and then make them works as a battery. I don't know if the Jervis and the other intended to make the battery as a single unit taken as a battery, but in my opinion, artillery commander and battery of gun will looks very historical and very cool on the table. And that's it for this short video. I'm really interested in your opinion about cavalry, about your experience with cavalry, but especially about artillery. What do you think about this possibility to change the artillery rule? Thank you for watching, and now I move in to another video that I'm quite to make soon enough. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.